Hey everyone, it's John here with notesonaguitar.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to play an open C chord on the guitar. This is an open C chord. And this video is part of a series of videos I'm doing on just basic beginner open chords. So let's look at how this thing is fingered. So first you want to take your third finger and put it on the third fret of the A string like this. Then you'll take your second finger and put it on the second fret of the D string. And then the first finger goes on the first fret of the B string, or the second string. Alright, that's how the chord is fingered. And now let's take a look at a couple of things as far as how to make sure that it sounds good. So first of all, like many chords, you want to make sure you play with the tips of your fingers so that you're not getting in the way of other strings. With this chord, it's a little bit tricky for beginners because you do have to kind of be somewhat accurate, because this finger here, actually really any of the fingers, but this finger and this finger often get in the way of each other. So if your third finger is laying down a little too flat like this, you might get in the way of this note being played. So you have to make sure you stand it up enough that you can hear the string next to it. And that goes for really all the fingers. In fact, this first finger also often has a way of laying down a little bit and getting in the way of the open E string. So it either buzzes like that or is just completely muted. So make sure you check that you're playing with the tips of your fingers and that you're playing, kind of close to the fret if you can. So you see how I'm sort of close to the third fret here. This finger is close to the second fret, and so on. The other thing that's a little bit tricky about the open C chord is that it's pretty easy to play the low E string by accident. So normally you want it to kind of sound like this, with this low B in the with this low C in the bass. But if you're not careful with your right hand, you'll wind up with the low E string in the bass, which it's not bad and it's not wrong, because actually the note E is in the chord C. We're actually playing an open E string right here, and this finger here is playing an E string. That means it's playing an E note. So E belongs in this chord. It just usually doesn't sound great when it's in the bass in this position, in this way. I mean, if that's the sound you're going for, that's fine. Nothing wrong with it. It's not like it's totally dissonant, but usually when you play this chord, that's not what you want. So to make sure that that's not ringing out, first and foremost, you got to make sure that you're accurate with your right hand, with your pick. So try not to hit that string. It's as simple as that. And that's just going to come with practice. When you're just starting out, you're going to be a little bit more wild than you are if you've been playing for a while. So just try and be careful with your right hand. Pay attention to, take a look at it every now and then. Make sure it's playing accurately. Something else you can try is with your third finger, you can actually mute this low E string by touching it a little bit. So instead of playing like this with your third finger, where it's not touching the low E string at all, you can move it just slightly so that you're actually pressing up against it. So it might look something like this. Notice how my third finger is now pressing up against this and preventing it from ringing out. I'm still standing up pretty straight so that I'm not getting in the way of the string next to it. I'm not getting in the way of the D string. Obviously, if you flatten out too much, you'll run into the problem that I talked about earlier. Also, you want to make sure that you're not bending this note, this third finger up, in order to mute that, because then you're going to be out of tune. You're going to bend this string, and this note is not going to be the right pitch anymore. So that's one way of doing it. Just something to give it a try. It might be tricky for some people if your fingers are smaller, but it is one technique that I find works for me. Another thing you can try is taking your thumb and wrapping it around the neck just a little bit. Now I talk a lot in my videos about not playing with your thumb wrapped around the neck too much in the beginning, even though it's totally fine and you will do it when you're a little bit more of an experienced player. when you're starting out, I usually suggest not to do that too much and to try and get your thumb back here so that you're able to play either way. But in this case, it can be very helpful to reach it up just enough that it's touching a little bit, like this. So you're gonna have to just experiment with it and see how it works for you. You know, one issue with wrapping your thumb around is you can wind up bringing your the palm of your hand too close to the neck so that you're actually getting in the way of this high E string, like that. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to go that far. Just kind of just do as much as you need to make the low E string not ring out, and then that's it, no further than that. So that's the open C chord. It's a little bit trickier than some of the other chords, but it's not too bad. So hopefully you won't have too much of a hard time with it. Check out my other videos on the basic open chords, and I'll see you around. Thanks.